Please adhere to YouTube selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals. Alright, so today I'm going to be drinking Maker's Mark whiskey for the first time, which as a whole I am very excited to do, as I've heard a lot of good things about Maker's Mark as a brand, and I've heard that the whiskey they make is quite high quality, quite nice tasting, and is quite smooth to boot as well. As such, I've kept this brand in the back of my head as one that I want to try eventually. And last time I was at the local liquor store, I was looking at the selection in front of me, and I saw this bottle right here, and I decided the time had finally come, and so as such, I bought it, and now here I am, about to try Maker's Mark whiskey for the very first time. Just how will it be, what will it be like, and will I enjoy it? That I do not know, but that is exactly why I'm making this video today, and as a whole, I am very excited to find out all of that information, I will admit. But what variety of Maker's Mark whiskey did I buy in specific? Well, I bought the Maker's Mark classic variety of Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. As said, this bottle cost me $19.99 at my local liquor store. And for that price, I got 375 milliliters of bourbon whiskey with an ABV of 45%, a proof of 90, and I got a whiskey that is supposedly very smooth as well due to the high percentage of wheat in the mash. Yeah, that's what I have with me today. This bottle was a bit more expensive than not, especially when you consider how much alcohol I got for the price. I really do hope that this is some good stuff, but I have faith that it will be, because I've heard just that many good things about Maker's Mark. Without further ado, I do suppose I should probably go ahead and quickly cover the look of the bottle, the look of the packaging. Then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and get the topper off. I'm gonna go and smell this whiskey for the very first time, and then after that, I'm gonna pour some in a glass I have with me today, and I'm gonna get to drinking, try some Maker's Mark whiskey for the very first time, and find out just how this stuff actually is, what it's actually like, and what I think of it. And once I'm done drinking, I'm gonna give you guys my final thoughts on this bottle and give it a rating as well. But first off, as said, we've got to cover the look of the bottle. And we can see it is a, I would have to say, mildly rusticated small bottle with a more squared off bottom and a very, just in general, iconic old style look, if you ask me. We can see the neck of the bottle is a little bit thinner than not, but nothing crazy thin by any means. We can see the bottom down here is a little bit more squared off than not. You can see it's very square on the very, very, very bottom of the bottle. And overall, in my opinion, just a really nice rusticated look. The label itself has a little bit of a zigzag cut pattern to it, which gives it a little bit of rustication, but really the big notable Maker's Mark brand image part of the packaging isn't the label itself or even the Maker's Mark name itself. It's actually this wax up here, because apparently in the Maker's Mark factory, when they finish off a bottle and it's all filled up with the bourbon, what they do is they dunk the bottle in a hot vat of red wax, and then they pull it out, and then it drips down just like that, and that's the wax we see right here. It is an iconic Maker's Mark staple, and this red wax tells you what this bottle is without you even having to look at the name brand. That's just how iconic this wax is, and it is absolutely understandable why they use this wax on the bottle. When you really think about it in marketing terms, it really does just make so much sense from a brand image perspective, with them trying to come across like a more rustic beverage than not, and with just being memorable from a brand image perspective kind of thing. This is just a really good thing to have, because it's just a nice little thing to have on the bottle kind of thing. Makes it look a little bit more interesting. Overall, yeah, I really do like the red wax they have at the very top of the bottle, and that's what we see, well, at the very top of the bottle. Moving on below the red wax, we can see there's a little bit of embossment on the glass itself. We can see there's what looks like a wax stamp just stamped into the glass right there, and it just says SIV. I think that's some sort of Roman numeral or something like that kind of thing. Not exactly sure what that actually means, I will acknowledge, but it's got very much out of a Roman, or not Roman, stamp, but it's got very much out of like a wax stamp design with the Roman numerals on the inside and everything like that kind of thing, and a little bit of a star right here as well. Are there any other sort of embossment pieces on the bottle itself or anything like that kind of thing? Not seeing any. I think this is the only part right here on the front of the bottle at least. And below this stamp design, we get to the actual label itself. As said, this label is a little bit more rustic than not due to the zigzag cut pattern that surrounds it on the top and the bottom and also on the sides as well. But I would have to say that sort of rusticated look is also due to the texture of it, as it has a more rough texture than not, and it's also due to the sort of beige slash off-white color of the label itself as well. Right here in a black, we can see it just says Maker's Mark right there, and we could see that sort of stamp design right here, except this time it's just a circle, no sort of stamp or anything like that, but we could see the Roman numerals and the star right there and everything like that. But yeah, just says Maker's Mark, has that design right there. Right under the actual brand name itself, it just says Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey right there, with Kentucky Straight Bourbon being in very small text and the whiskey being in very large text. And then below that, we get some more small text, just says handmade since 1953, made by the Maker's Mark Distillery Inc., Star Hill Farms, Loretto, Kentucky, under the personal supervision of Rob Samuels. And then under that, it just says 375 milliliters, 40% alcohol by volume. And that's really all we get on the front of the packaging. Just very simple packaging, nothing too crazy. Tells us what we need to know, tells us what it is, tells us how much we get, tells us what the alcohol percentage is, and does a little bit of marketing as well, kind of thing, with the whole made since 1953 and made under the personal supervision of Rob Samuels and everything like that kind of thing. They do a pretty good job of telling you all the necessary information you want to know while not overcomplicating the front of the packaging by any means. Overall, very iconic from top to bottom, if you ask me, and just overall a good packaging design, frankly put. Now, the sides of the bottle with this label right here, so the label, of course, does stretch around to the sides, to the sides. This is a little bit more market segmentation spiel and stuff like that kind of thing, a little bit less iconic, I will acknowledge, but really, in my opinion, the front of this bottle really does just look so good, so iconic. As said, the red wax, really good from a marketing standpoint. This right here, just the general front, the rustication of the general packaging as a whole. Overall, very iconic, very good look. Overall, Maker's Mark, they know what they're doing when it comes to brand continuity and when it comes to just brand image and packaging design as a whole, and I gotta give them props. This is a good looking bottle of bourbon whiskey, I will acknowledge. Let's go ahead and cover the sides of the bottle now, though. The parts of the label that are on the side of the bottle, to be precise. We can see on this side, we get an image of maybe their distillery or something like that right there in black, in a black and beige sort of imagery, I'd have to say. And then below that, we get some very small text, just says, anytime you're in the neighborhood, stop by to visit us at the Star Hill Farm Distillery. I do suppose the image is probably their distillery then. Near Loretto, Kentucky, our beautifully restored home place of Maker's Mark is a designated Kentucky and National Historic Landmark. That's interesting to know. We'd love for you to discover more about our home, our people, and our handmade approach to crafting whiskey. And then under that, we get some cursive text, just says fully matured, implying that this alcohol is fully matured, just says 40% alcohol by volume, 90 proof, and then we just get some numbers under that. So they're basically just saying, hey, we're open for tours. If you want to get a tour, stop by and get a tour, kind of thing, is my understanding at least. On the other side, we get some more marketing and whatnot kind of thing. We get the sort of Roman numerals and the star up there, and then we get a whole paragraph right here, just says Maker's Mark, an American, or sorry, let me try that again. Just says Maker's Mark, America's handmade bourbon whiskey, all began when my grandfather, Bill Samuels Sr., a sixth generation Kentucky distiller, didn't care for the whiskey his family made, so in 1953 he burned the family recipe, literally. That seems a bit far-fetched kind of thing. It's marketing. And started over. His taste vision was a soft, rich, creamy, full-bodied, yet balanced bourbon whiskey. Meanwhile, my grandmother, Margie, was busy designing the bottle you're holding. Man, I gotta give her credit. It's a good looking bottle. In fact, it was her idea to hand dip every bottle in our signature red wax. To this day, making Maker's Mark in small quantities, a little at a time, is a family affair. Enjoy. Well, this is their standard variety, and this bottle is available all around the world, so I don't know what kind of small quantities they're talking about, but they're really trying to sell Maker's Mark with that market segmentation spiel and everything like that kind of thing. They're really trying to sell it, and they're doing a good job, I will acknowledge. I'm not minding it by any means, but it is marketing. They're really trying to market it very heavily, if I do say so myself. They've got a brand name, they want to utilize it, and they want to sell more bottles, of course. Under the paragraph, just says that it was written by the grandson of Bill and Margie, Rob Samuels, right there, and that's what we see on this side. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on at the front and the two sides of the bottle. Let's go and move on to the back, and we can see it's more informational than not. Of course, wax up top, no sort of indentment or embossment right here on the glass or anything like that, and we could just see government warning label right there and whatnot kind of thing. We get that same sort of beige, but a little bit less of a rough texture, still that zigzag cut pattern, barcode, bottle buyback, QR code, recycle it, certified B Corporation. I don't know exactly what that means. Just says distilled, aged, and bottled by the Maker's Mark Distillery Inc., Star Hill Farm, Loretto, Kentucky, USA. Not for underage. Please enjoy responsibly. Just says per 1.5 fluid ounces. You got 109 calories. Wow, that's a bunch per 1.9 fluid ounces. Oh my goodness. Carbs is 0 grams. Protein is 0 grams. Fat is 0 grams. I actually like that they put that on the back of the bottle. And yeah, that's really all that's going on at the back of the bottle. Moving on to the bottom of the bottle, we can see it's very square. Get some numbers and stuff like that, but really no crazy information or marketing or anything like that. And yeah, that's overall the general look of the bottle. In my opinion, a very good looking bottle, and one that is absolutely super iconic, and in my opinion is one of the absolute goats when it comes to just market or when it comes to brand recognizability and just good packaging and iconic packaging. I was getting my words just a little bit jumbled up there, but in my opinion, Maker's Mark Bourbon Whiskey is some of the most recognizable whiskey and alcohol of all time, just due to the red wax and due to the iconic look of the bottle and shape of the bottle and the label itself and everything like that kind of thing. Even if you don't know what Maker's Mark as a brand is called, and you just don't know what this brand is kind of thing, you might recognize this bottle on the shelf a little bit more so than not, just due to the shape and the color of the wax and the color of the label and everything like that kind of thing. Really, with brand image and bottle recognizability and just product recognizability in general, they've done a great job. Got to give them credit. As a fan of packaging, of different products and stuff like that kind of thing, Maker's Mark, they've done a good thing. They've done a good thing. Without further ado, let's go ahead and grab a little bit of a thumbnail real quick before I go any further into the video. And let's go ahead and, yeah, as said, grab myself a little bit of a thumbnail for the screenshot of the video. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and get some of the red wax off the top of the bottle, and I'm going to go and pour myself a glass after I smell some of this bourbon whiskey right here. But as said, let's go and grab myself a thumbnail first off. So let's see if I can do that real quick. Just trying to grab the perfect thumbnail because I know once I take the wax off, it's never going to look the same again. So I want to grab the perfect thumbnail with the unopened bottle. Well, hopefully one of those will do as the thumbnail of the video. We will find out, I do suppose. Without further ado, let's go ahead and use this pull tab we have right here to go ahead and break the wax, and let's go ahead and get this bottle all opened up. And one of the things I also like about this wax, it's anti-tamper just built in with the bottle design. I love that. But let's go ahead and pull this tab and start getting the wax just a little bit off and everything like that kind of thing. Just go like that. I thought this was actually going to be a cork, but I think it's just a twist top. Okay, all right. I don't mind either way. There we go. Just like that. Got the wax off. Kind of sticky on the inside, but that makes sense, of course. Let's go put that down and let's go ahead and get... Oh, I was about to say, okay, I'm going to try to get the wax off the top. But actually, the wax is just straight stuck on there. It is wax after all. I'm not terribly surprised, but I don't think that is coming off. So, yes, I am going to have to unscrew this. This is a screw top, not an actual cork. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and unscrew this and go ahead and smell Maker's Mark whiskey for the very first time. Let's see. There's the lid off. Nothing on the inside. Let's give it a smell. Well, it certainly smells like whiskey, I will acknowledge. But it definitely smells a little bit different in my opinion. Most of the whiskey and bourbons I've tried have probably been on the more corn side overall. I don't know if I've tried too many bourbon whiskeys or just whiskeys in general that are heavy on the wheat. But this definitely smells less corn-like, and it definitely smells sweeter and still very sort of like a grain, but like a different grain. Like, of course, since this is a bourbon whiskey, it has to have, 51% corn? Isn't it something like that? But this does have a higher percentage in wheat than most whiskeys I've tried so far, possibly. So yeah, a little bit of a different flavor. Or not flavor, but smell. I'm a little bit out of it, I will acknowledge. Need a little bit of alcohol, you know what I'm saying? No complaints on my behalf. But overall, yeah, smells very good. What are the actual distinct smells actually like, though? I mean, like, this just smells really good. It smells really smooth, frankly put. It just smells... This stuff smells really good, frankly put. I would say the smell I'm getting is very much that of a sweet brown sugar, sort of almost caramel, sort of like marshmallow. I would say like sweet brown sugar, molasses, marshmallow, and I'm just kind of naming things that I think it smells like right now, and I'm gonna rank them in order in a minute. But yeah, sweet, brown sugar, molasses, caramel, vanilla, marshmallow, definitely a grain-like smell in there, and I'm pretty sure that's the smell of wheat. I would definitely have to say there's a little bit of corn as well, but it's definitely much more diminished when compared to other bourbons I've tried. And overall, yeah, this just smells really good in general. Overall, I would have to say the smell of the Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, to me, just right off the bat, it's very much that of a sweet and savory, slightly spicy smell with specifics of, I would have to say, on the nose, that of a brown sugar, molasses, I would have to say caramel, vanilla, marshmallow, sort of wheat grain smell with an undertone of corn, a little bit of dark chocolate, and a little bit of spice. And that's very much what the smell of Maker's Mark Classic Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey is actually like, in my opinion at least. Without further ado, let's go ahead and pour some in a glass, see if the smell changes at all. And then after that, let's go ahead and take a sip of Maker's Mark Whiskey for the very first time. Let's go and pour myself a little bit of a glass. Don't want too much, so I just poured that much for my first drink. Don't know how much I'm gonna want today, although I figure probably more than not. And let's just smell this real quick. Definitely out of the bottle, you can definitely notice this is a little bit more, I would have to say, spicy smelling. And I would also say, out of the bottle, you lose some of the details of the initial smell that I just described. I'm still getting that of a sort of grain smell, wheat smell, but the sweetness has kind of faded away a little bit. It's more like savory, spicy, sweet rather than being sweet, savory, spicy now. And I would say overall, I'm still getting very prominently caramel, brown sugar, molasses, wheat, and a little bit of marshmallow, but everything else, while it's still there, it's faded away to a pretty decent degree. Yeah. Overall, smells fantastic, I will acknowledge. Well, I do suppose without further ado, it is time for me to go ahead and drink Maker's Mark whiskey for the very first time. How will this stuff actually be? What will it be like? I don't know. Let's grab a quick thumbnail real quick. But now that I've done that, do suppose without further ado, it's time to go ahead and try Maker's Mark whiskey for the very first time. I've had this brand in the back of my head for quite a while now. Been wanting to try it for a little bit. Glad I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger last time I was at the liquor store. I'm not going to chug it. I'm taking very small sips. Without further ado, let's find out just how this stuff actually is. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying. Okay, right off the bat. Definitely different tasting. Oh, it's definitely different. Yeah. Yeah. So I've tried a handful of different whiskeys so far. I've tried Four Roses. I've tried Evan Williams. I've tried Suntory. I've tried that one brand that I'm not willing to say because it sounds like I'd say the N-word if I did say it, so I'm not saying that brand, but it's from Japan. If you know, you know. I'm not saying that whiskey brand, but I've tried a couple different whiskey brands so far kind of thing. I don't know what the mash content in all of them has been. But I want to say this one is probably the highest wheat content I've had so far, more than likely. If I had to hazard a guess, that is a strong possibility, although I don't know anything for sure. But what I do know is that it's definitely got a different flavor than I'm used to from an American whiskey. I can say that for sure. It's definitely got an almost creaminess to it. But at the same time, while I did just say it was very different, it's also at the same time quite similar to other stuff I've tried before. Like just initially, I'm like, this is kind of reminding me both of the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, but at the same time, it's kind of reminding me of the high whiskey brand I can't say. I tried that variety in Japan. I'm not willing to say the whiskey brand name. That first sip I took, it was a little bit rough, but that second sip, so much more smooth. So much more smooth. I think it was just probably because I hadn't honestly had any liquid for around about 20 minutes, and I had been talking for all that 20 minutes. So that's probably why I was a little bit rough on that first sip. But the second sip really did smooth out kind of thing. And overall, yeah, I mean, like, it's good. I'm not gonna talk specifics like right now kind of thing, but I could say it's good right off the bat. I could say that right off the bat. I'm not gonna say specifics on how it is right now just because I don't have enough experience quite yet. But Maker's Mark whiskey, at least the standard variety that I'm trying for the first time today, very solid stuff. No, this is high quality. Seems to be smooth so far based off the first two sips and has a pretty decent flavor if I do say so myself. Yeah. I ain't complaining, that's for sure. Wow, though, it really is just so smooth. This stuff is honestly really easy to sip on. I see why so many people like Maker's Mark. I mean, like, there's a lot of fanfare around Maker's Mark, and I was trying to figure out, it was like, I heard so many good things. And I was pretty confident in this being good for this video today kind of thing. If I hadn't been confident in it being somewhat good, it wouldn't have been in the back of my mind for so long. But sometimes you hear so many good things about something and you wonder, is it just fanfare or is it actually good? And so that was kind of in the back of my mind as well, but I see what people are on about. I kind of see what people are on about. It's an easy sipper. The flavor is there. Just based off the first like 3 sips, it's not the most in-depth flavor I've ever experienced, but definitely a step above some whiskeys and just alcohols I've had in general so far, for sure. I definitely have to say, like, flavor-wise, this is a step above. I would have to say like Mellow Corn, or I would have to say something like, let's say, the Suntory Kakubin, for sure, which that's like a $3 whiskey in Japan, so I mean, like, it's not really saying much, but this is a step above definitely some of the other stuff I've had. Is this a true step above like Evan Williams Bottled and Bond? That's to be seen. Right now I don't feel so, but it's pretty solid. Yeah. Flavor-wise, I don't want to set anything in stone right now, but flavor-wise, I'm very much getting that of a sort of smooth, creamy, vanilla mouthfeel with undertones of, I would have to say, a sort of graininess. Like, not graininess like it's a grainy sort of taste, like it's like got a lot of grains kind of thing, like you're chewing on dry wheat grains. I just mean it's got like a sort of grain-like taste. A little bit of caramel, brown sugar, a little bit of molasses kind of thing. I would have to say there's a little bit of dark chocolate in there as well. I really do feel like I'm getting that of a sort of like, almost sort of like really dark chocolate, but like in the back. And you'd think it would be kind of like a milk chocolate with sort of creaminess of the flavor, but no, they're kind of separate. So the creaminess is separate from the dark chocolate. So the dark chocolate really comes across as being dark chocolate rather than like creamy dark chocolate or milk chocolate. Very interesting. Very interesting. Overall, okay. All right. I kind of see what the Maker's Mark bourbon whiskey hype is all about. I kind of get it. I kind of get it now. And it really is just so smooth. I am so much more willing to take bigger sips with this whiskey than I am with a lot of other liquors. Because a lot of other liquors, I know they're a little bit potent, they're a little bit spicy kind of thing. Maker's Mark, on the other hand, it really is very smooth. It really is very smooth. It's, frankly put, an easy sipper and one of the easiest straight, like, over 40% liquors I have ever drank. And I mean, like, I've had some easy sippers, but this has got to be one of the easiest, on the same level as the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, if not at a slightly higher level, when it comes to easy sipping, frankly put. I am impressed. Yeah. It's a bit pricey, don't get me wrong. Is $20 for 375 milliliters, which is double the price of the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. And in my opinion, this is not double as good. This is not double as good as the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. It's good. This is good stuff, but it's not double the price good. But would I drink more in the future? Hell yeah, I would. I'd totally drink more of this in the future. In fact, I'm going to pour myself another glass after I'm done with this one. Yeah. Wow, very solid. The mouthfeel is very nice as well. It's that of a... I'm trying to think of the right way to describe the mouthfeel, because sometimes it comes across as more watery, and other times it comes across as being more creamy. But it's very much out of a sort of, I guess, like creamy yet watery mouthfeel. Very smooth, and just like slightly sticky kind of thing. It's like a slightly sticky, sort of like creamy yet watery mouthfeel from the Maker's Mark classic variety. Overall, definitely a very smooth mouthfeel in my personal opinion. The amount of burning I'm getting in the back of my throat, it's prominent, don't get me wrong, there is burning in the back of my throat right now, but it's not nearly as intense as a lot of the other whiskeys I have tried. and just overall flavor, you get an upfront flavor kind of on your tongue, and that's just like a really nice, pleasant flavor. But you really can, if you want to really start to pay attention to what the flavors on your tongue are while you're sipping and with the aftertaste, you really can pay attention to that if you so desire. There is definitely depth to this whiskey right here. There's depth to the smell, and there's definitely depth to the flavor as well. Wow. This stuff really is quite smooth. It's not smooth enough for me to chug, but it really is quite smooth. It really is quite smooth. My goodness. Yeah, wow. I am legitimately impressed, and that 45% is definitely starting to get me a buzz. I have absolutely no complaints on my behalf, frankly put. It's some good stuff. I'm enjoying this. No. Maker's Mark whiskey. I see what the hype is all about. I see what the hype is all about. Heard a lot of good things. Figured I should try it. I'm glad I'm doing so today. Let me tell y'all what. And this is solid. This is solid. There's definitely worse ways I could have spent my money than spending $20 on this bottle, that's for sure. Trying to think what the actual flavor is. I just poured myself a little bit more, and I'm gonna have a little bit more to really determine what the flavor is actually like. But I'm just trying to think and organize my thoughts. When it comes to both liquors and other products that have very extreme in-depth flavors, I do find it useful to kind of organize my thoughts. Sometimes I'm drinking something or I'm sipping away on something and I'm like, the flavor that's there is the flavor that's there. This is what the flavor's like. That's all that's going on kind of thing. Maker's Mark is not one of those products. It is a product where what you get is there, but then there's more to what you get than what you initially notice. And that's something I really appreciate. And that's something that I would definitely want to see from a bourbon of its price tag, frankly put. Because, well, it was $20, just about $20 for 375 milliliters of bourbon, which is quite expensive because you can get 375 milliliters of the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, which is a fantastic bourbon whiskey, for like $10.50 in my local area. It's $9.50 less than the Maker's Mark. And while I am still kind of the opinion that Maker's Mark is not that much better than the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond to warrant the increase in price, it is, lest I say, better than the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. It's different. It's different. But from a straight smoothness and in-depth flavor kind of thing, I think there's more depth to the flavor, and I think it is marginally better. I think it is marginally better. Now, is Maker's Mark going to take my spot for probably being my favorite whiskey of all time? No, not at all. That's still going to go to the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, because when something is my favorite, I do count price into the factor as well. Something could be the best whiskey ever, my favorite I've ever drank, but if it's a $5,000 bottle, it ain't going to be my favorite because I cannot afford that. The Maker's Mark, don't get me wrong, it's really good, but I cannot see myself paying prices like what I paid for this just to get some more Maker's Mark. The Evan Williams Bottled and Bond is almost as good for half the price. Almost as good for half the price, and has almost as much depth to the flavor. And while not as much smoothness, I will acknowledge it's really the main difference. But they both have a great flavor, a lot of depth of flavor, and the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond is half the price just about kind of thing. Maker's Mark is great, but is it a bit expensive? Yes. Maybe I'm just used to like really cheap, good quality products because I've been drinking the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, and so maybe my expectations are just set really high. Maybe my expectations are just set really high because the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond is absolutely a sleeper in my opinion. It is a sleeper whiskey, but yeah, no, the Maker's Mark, it's good. It's good. I got really nothing bad to say, frankly put. I can't think of anything bad to say. No, it's just all around a general crowd pleaser. It's good. The price is really the only thing I'm finding to complain about. I really do genuinely have no complaints on my behalf. Yeah. Would I say that Maker's Mark whiskey is worth buying at the price I paid? I'd have to say it's worth trying at the price I paid at a minimum, for sure. Would I buy another bottle for the same price? I'd probably get one of the bigger bottles for like 30 bucks and get it where it's like per ounce a little bit cheaper kind of thing. But overall, I mean, like, I don't feel like I got ripped off. That's for sure. I feel like I got a good quality product for an okay price. And since I got a good quality product for a price that wasn't insane, I'm really not minding this at all kind of thing. I'm frankly put enjoying myself quite a bit. Yeah, the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, it might be still my favorite whiskey of all time, I'm gonna have to say, just due to the fact that it hits every category. Taste, depth of taste, smoothness, hits everything, plus it's cheap as well. But the Maker's Mark, I think it might have to take number 2. I think it might have to take number 2 for my second favorite whiskey of all time. It's a bit too expensive for me to want to buy all the time, but man, it is some good stuff. It is some good stuff. Yeah, I'm not minding it by any means. Flavor-wise, in my opinion, the Maker's Mark Classic variety of Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, when compared to other whiskeys, is most similar to the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, and it is also most similar to the High brand I cannot say because it sounds like the N-word. I've tried both of those whiskeys before, and I really do feel like the Maker's Mark Classic variety that I have with me today is most similar to those two kind of thing. Those are the two most similar whiskeys I can think to this stuff right here. I enjoyed both of those whiskeys, and I'm enjoying this stuff, so yeah, those are the two most similar whiskeys in my personal opinion that I've tried so far, at least. I'm sure there's others that are maybe more similar that I just haven't tried, though. But what is the actual flavor of Maker's Mark whiskey actually like? That is something that I have not determined quite yet. I've mentioned some flavor profile and stuff, but I haven't said anything in specific. So what is the actual flavor profile actually like? I would have to say it's that of a I would have to say the flavor overall is that of a savory, sweet, and spicy flavor with undertones of, and I'm just going to name these in no particular order, I'll reorganize them afterwards, but cream, vanilla, caramel, like a sort of grain. I get the impression it's probably wheat. I'd have to say a little bit of brown sugar, molasses, definitely a little bit of marshmallow in my opinion. I'd have to say maybe the slightest bit of nuttiness. And did I already say dark chocolate? I can't remember. I feel like I already said dark chocolate. And was there anything else? Was there anything else? I would say the flavor overall, in order, is very much that of a... Oh, how's it going, Moki? How you doing? Get off the porch now. Go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. How's it going, Moki? Puppy just walked outside. She opened the door all by herself. I'm very proud of her. Taught her how to do that. She's such a smart puppy. Get off the porch now. Get off the porch now. Get off the porch now, puppy. She's been trying to crap on the porch lately, which is not appreciated because I like drinking on this porch. Get off the porch. Do I need to get up? Okay, I'm going to get up. I'll explain the flavor in just a minute. Go, Moki. Go. Oh. The moment I get up, she wanders off the porch. Hey, at least she opens the door to go out kind of thing. I'm just thankful she ain't crapping on the floor inside. But what was I saying? I was talking about the flavor of the Maker's Mark. I would say the flavor you get is very much that of a to me at least, creamy, almost sort of nutty, milky, sort of caramel, brown sugar, molasses, wheat grain-like flavor with an undertone. Well, no, wait, let me restart that because I forgot one bit. So in order, I would have to say it's almost out of a, like, creamy, nutty, milky, vanilla, sweet flavor with an undertone of brown sugar, molasses. I'm buzzed. I'm getting distracted. I'm gonna have to try this again. How's it going, Moki? How you doing, huh? How you doing, Moki? I'm gonna try to lock in for a second with describing the flavor. You ready to go back in? You ready to go back in? You better not crap there. She better not crap there. She did that previously. I did not appreciate it because it's like right when I walk out the door. What you doing, Moki? What you doing? What you doing, huh? I'm getting so distracted. I am actually like really buzzed. Like this stuff is so easy to drink. I honestly lost track of how much I had. It is that easy to drink. How you doing, Moki? She's ignoring me. That's okay. She's concentrating on doing her business. She's got a house to guard. She's got a porch to guard. And she's got lots of stuff to smell. She's concentrating on doing her business. She's a business puppy. Yeah. Just the household security guard, you know what I'm saying? She does a great job. She runs the CCTVs 24/7. She's just locked in all the time. How you doing? Hi. Oh, you walking over here now? How you doing? How you doing, huh? You doing good? I ain't gonna pick you up. I don't know if you just went and did some business, so I ain't gonna pick you up right now, but how you doing, huh? You doing good? You're smelling around? While you're smelling around, I'm gonna go and try to describe the rest of the flavor of the Maker's Mark whiskey. What do you think about Maker's Mark whiskey, Moki? What do you think about Maker's Mark whiskey? Do you like it? No comment? I understand. She don't want to comment. But, the flavor of the Maker's Mark whiskey, in order, in my opinion, it's that of a creamy, sweet, vanilla, milky, nutty flavor with an undertone of a sort of wheat grain flavor, and then a little bit of brown sugar, molasses, marshmallow, a little bit of corn, a little bit of dark chocolate. Is that what the flavor's really like? I know what the mouth feels like. The mouthfeel is just like smooth, creamy, watery, just a very smooth, sort of watery, yet at the same time slightly sticky and creamy mouthfeel as a whole. But the flavor, it's that of, yeah, I'm gonna have to say sweet cream, vanilla, nutty, milky flavor, undertone of like a wheat grain flavor, brown sugar, molasses, a little bit of corn, a little bit of marshmallow somewhere in there, and a little bit of dark chocolate as well, with a little bit of spice in the very background. And that's very much what the actual flavor of the Maker's Mark whiskey is like, in my personal opinion. That's what the overall distinct flavor is like. Mouthfeel is good. Flavor is really good. There's definitely a lot of depth to it. All of the depth I experienced is depth that I experienced in the smell as well. And while there is a lot of depth, it's not like I noticed like more and more and more and more and more depth as I continued sipping. I kind of got all the depth I was going to get by the third sip, in all honesty. But overall, definitely enough depth to keep me interested in sipping, and definitely enough depth to make me happy, frankly put. And what more can I ask for? Roughness and smoothness wise, I'm gonna have to say this is like a solid, when it comes to whiskey and bourbon and liquor in general, with 10 being the roughest and 1 being the smoothest, this is like a solid 5 or a 6 out of 10 kind of thing. It really is quite smooth when it comes to liquor. And it's just nice amount of depth, good smoothness, good mouthfeel. The Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, the classic variety. Do I like it? Do I not? I like it. I like it. An overall rating, I'm going to have to give it, for a liquor to drink straight, is going to be, I'm going to have to give it a solid 8 out of 10. I'm going to have to give it a solid 8 out of 10. And I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 because I'm sure there's better whiskeys, but it's pretty dang good. So I'm going to have to give the standard variety, the Maker's Mark, an 8 out of 10. I think it deserves an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10 is very deserving for it. That's a great rating, if you ask me. And, yeah, it's getting 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for the standard, for the classic variety of Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's a good rating if I do say so myself. No complaints on my behalf. Yeah, that's for drinking it straight. But how will it mix into a whiskey highball? I have a little bit of carbonated water with me today. So let's go ahead and find out. Let's go ahead and find out how it mixes into a whiskey highball, I do think. Got some lemon-flavored carbonated water from Wegmans. Whew! Perfect! No complaints. No complaints. That it didn't spill over at all. That was perfect. That was amazing. I'm actually really proud of that pour. Maybe it's just me being like really buzzed, and I was like, wow, that was perfect. I stopped at the perfect time. But I'm actually really happy with that pour. But let's see how it is as a mixer too. Ooh, that's nice. I was pretty sure it was going to be a really good mixer as well, because it was really smooth when drinking straight, and so of course I'm thinking it's going to be really smooth when you mix it in with some stuff. And I was correct. I was correct. It is a pretty good mixer. How's it going, Moki? How you doing, huh? You got some pollen on you. You got some pollen on you. What's up with that? Been rolling around in the leaves, or just wandering around in the leaves with all pollen around? You got a bunch of pollen on you, Moki. Got a bunch of pollen on you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How you feeling, Moki? You doing good? You ready to go back in? I can let you in if you want. She only knows how to open the door from the inside. Yeah, she's still sniffing around, so I'm gonna let her keep sniffing around. I'm not gonna make her go inside when she's not ready. I believe in free-range puppies as long as they come back. Nah, great mixer. Great mixer. Yeah, overall, a very solid 8 out of 10 whiskey. Honestly, I'm so tempted to give it like a 9 out of 10, but I don't know. It was like $20 for 375 milliliters, so I don't know if I really should. But it's without a doubt an 8 out of 10. The Maker's Mark is without a doubt an 8 out of 10 in my opinion. Really solid, straight, really especially good straight, but also great in a whiskey highball as well. Definitely a drink that I'm enjoying much more so than not today. And definitely a liquor, definitely a whiskey that I'm very glad that I decided to try. I'm very glad that I decided to finally go and try some Maker's Mark. I got no complaints on my behalf, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this experience today. Yeah. I'm gonna go and finish this off. Ready to go back in? I'm gonna let her in real quick before I finish off my drink. And the puppy went back inside. And now I'm out here drinking alone. Yeah, it's okay. I enjoy drinking alone. I enjoy drinking with the puppy too. She's pretty chill. Got a lot of good conversation topics we were talking about. We were talking about Cars and Breaking Bad a couple days ago. It was a good conversation. She's a big fan of Breaking Bad. You know, only the biggest ball of moves from the puppy, you know what I'm saying? Only the biggest ball of moves from the puppy. That's what I'm saying. Yes, sir. Yeah, overall, I'm buzzed. I am very buzzed right now, I gotta admit. It's a good buzz, too. This is a really nice buzz. It's not overwhelming me right now. I'm gonna leave it at this, honestly. This is the last drink I'm having of the night. I was thinking I might pour myself another one of these, but honestly, I don't need any more, so I'm just gonna pour it out because I'm not gonna drink it straight. That was me pouring out this can, not the rest of the Maker's Mark. I want to clarify. I don't need any more alcohol after this. I'm feeling amazing right now. I am heavily buzzed. Solid 7 out of 10. But yeah, no. Excuse me. Maker's Mark whiskey. It's some good stuff. Is it a whiskey that personally I would drink again? Yeah. Is it a whiskey that I would buy again? Yeah. Is it something that I am going to enjoy drink the rest of the bottle of? Yeah. It's a bit expensive. I'm a cheap ass. I like buying cheap but extremely high quality whiskey, and so the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond is still my favorite. But the Maker's Mark is some pretty solid stuff too. No complaints. Just had a little bit of a tiny hiccup. Tried drinking a little bit too quickly. Should have taken a moment, but trying to finish off my drink. Well, finish off my drink. I don't think I have anything else to say. I think I've said everything I wanted to say about my final thoughts on the whiskey and about how it is in general and everything like that. And overall, the packaging of the Maker's Mark whiskey, it's iconic, it's great, it's fantastic. I gotta admit, this is probably one of my favorite looks for any alcohol bottle ever. It's just so iconic, the brand continuity is there. It's just such an iconic look as a whole. This is great packaging, just fantastic packaging. And it's not just good packaging, it's a good product as well. Yeah, 8 out of 10. Tempted to give it a 9 out of 10, but I can't do that just due to the price. But an 8 out of 10 for the Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey Classic Variety. No complaints, frankly put. No complaints. I think that's about all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching this video today, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching me drink Maker's Mark whiskey for the very first time. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video today, of course, like, subscribe. Check out everything in the description down below. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? I think that was it. So until the next one, y'all, stay safe and peace, and have a great one.